Welcome to Court Chronicles, the one channel that doesn't flinch from the NBA's raw, unfiltered truth. I'm your host, and tonight we're plunging headfirst into a story that's equal parts triumph and tragedy. April 1, 2025. A date that should have been a coronation. A night when Nikola Jokic didn't just play basketball, he unleashed a seismic, earth-shattering performance that rewrote the record books. 61 points. 11 rebounds, 10 assists. The first 60-point triple-double in 75 years of this league's storied existence. A king, a titan, a Serbian colossus who turned the hardwood into his personal empire with a grace and ferocity that defy comprehension. But here's the dagger to the heart. The Denver Nuggets lost 149-39 in double overtime to the Minnesota Timberwolves. A defeat so soul-crushing, so infuriating, it's practically a crime against basketball itself. This wasn't just a game, it was a war. A brutal, bloody clash where Jokic stood alone, a god among mortals, while his so-called army abandoned him in the dirt. How does a man pour 61 points into a fight and still fall? Who dared to betray this king when his crown shone brightest? Buckle up, because we're tearing this apart piece by piece, stat by stat, betrayal by betrayal, and trust me, you're not ready for the fire we're about to unleash. First, let's crown the king properly, because what Jokic did demands reverence before we burn the traitors at the stake. Let's dive into the numbers, because these aren't just stats. They're a testament, a holy scripture of greatness that should silence every doubter in their tracks. Nikola Jokic didn't just dominate on April 1st, he shattered the very fabric of basketball reality. 61 points, a career high, the highest single game total in the NBA this season, towering over De'Aaron Fox's pitiful 60 like a skyscraper over a shack. He shot 18 of 29 from the field. That's 62% efficiency, clinic in precision, while torching 6 of 11 from beyond the arc, a blistering 54.5% from three-point land, and then there's the free throw line. 19 of 24, 79.1%, a relentless, soul-crushing barrage that would have broken lesser men into dust. Add 11 rebounds and 10 assists, and you've got a triple-double so rare, so majestic. It's the first time anyone's hit 60 points alongside it in 75 years of NBA history. Think about that. 75 years, and no one's touched this peak until Jokic planted his flag. He played 53 minutes. 53 through 2 grueling overtimes, dropping 48 points by the end of regulation, and still summoning 12 more when the stakes hit the roof. 26 points in the second half alone, 10 for 12 from the stripe. Numbers that scream insanity, numbers that make you question if we're even watching the same sport. This wasn't a performance, it was a coronation. A one-man symphony of dominance that drowned out Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's overhyped MVP whispers with a deafening, earth-shaking roar. 4 MVPs already sit on his mantle. 4, and let's be real, he deserved 5. The 2022-23 snub, a heist. A media-orchestrated disgrace, a crime against basketball justice. Nights like this are his rebuttal, his war cry. Jokic isn't just in the GOAT conversation, he's banging on the door, demanding a seat at the table with Jordan, LeBron, and Kareem. And he's not asking politely. But even a king needs an army, so why did Jokic's legion abandon him when his glory burned brightest? Let's storm the battlefield and find out. Credit where it's due, the Minnesota Timberwolves didn't just sneak out a win, they launched a ruthless, calculated ambush that left Denver bleeding. Anthony Edwards, 34 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists. A warrior stat line that roared through Ball Arena like a thunderclap. Rudy Gobert, the so-called defensive player of the year, overrated by some, but not here. muscled up 19 points and 12 rebounds, proving he's more than just a tall shadow. Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Julius Randle each dropped 26 points, with Alexander Walker's ice-cold free throws at 0.1 seconds left in double OT, sealing Denver's fate like a guillotine's blade. This wasn't luck. It was execution, a masterclass in grit and guts. Minnesota swept Denver 4 match deep, 4 games, 4 daggers plunged deep into the Nuggets' heart. They trailed by 1 with 17.7 seconds left in double OT, and yet they clawed back, exploiting every crack, every weakness in Denver's pathetic excuse for a defense. 140 points allowed at home. Are you serious? Jokic faced a Wolves squad missing Dante DiVincenzo and Nas Reed, key pieces sidelined, and still Minnesota outlasted him, outfought him, outmanned him. 7 straight losses to the Timberwolves now, stretching back to last season's playoffs. This isn't a rivalry, it's a one-sided slaughter, a humiliation that stains Denver's legacy with every passing second. The Timberwolves are a war machine, a pack of wolves tearing at the Nuggets' throat, and Jokic's brilliance was the only thing keeping Denver alive. His team handed Minnesota the victory on a silver platter, and that's a disgrace that should haunt every soul in Nuggets Nation. But here's the real outrage. Jokic's masterpiece was sabotaged by his own ranks. Who's the Judas in this tragedy? Let's name the coward and shame him. Step forward, Russell Westbrook, once an MVP, now a walking disaster, a traitor who spat on Jokic's brilliance and laughed while the kingdom burned. Let's set the scene. 13 seconds left in double OT, Nuggets up $138. Westbrook steals the ball from Anthony Edwards. A golden opportunity, a chance to seal the win and crown Jokic's night with the victory it deserved. He charges down court. Christian Braun hands him the perfect setup. And what does he do? He bricks a layup, not a contested jumper, not a tough fadeaway, a wide open grade school layup, and he chokes like it's his first day on the court. Minnesota races back. Edwards finds Alexander Walker, and Westbrook, oh bless his delusional heart, fouls him on a 3-point attempt. 2 free throws later, the game's over and Denver's dreams are ash. But wait, there's more incompetence to unpack. With 20.1 seconds left, Westbrook misses a free throw that could have put the Nuggets ahead. Another dagger he drove into Jokic back. Jokic misses one too, sure, but he's got 61 points, 11 rebounds, and 10 assists on the board. He's allowed to be human after carrying this sorry squad for 53 minutes. What's Westbrook's excuse? 12 points on 4 of 11 shooting, 5 turnovers? A stat line that reeks of failure, performance so pitiful it's almost comical if it weren't so damn tragic. This guy's a liability, a washed-up relic who's turned from triple-double machine to triple disaster nightmare. And where's Michael Malone in all this? Coaching? Strategy? Please? That's a mirage, a fairy tale. Jokic is out there bleeding for 53 minutes, pouring his soul into every possession, while his point guard and head coach sabotage him like a pair of clowns in a circus. Nuggets fans, you should be livid. Your king's being betrayed, stabbed in the back by a has-been and a fraud. Westbrook's not just costing games, he's costing Jokic his legacy, and that's a sin we can't forgive. Yet, even in this collapse, Jokic's legend towers. So why does this loss scream disaster for Denver's crumbling empire? Let's face the reckoning head on. This isn't just one loss. It's a 5-alarm fire raging through Denver's so-called dynasty. A warning flare that their empire is on the brink of ruin. The Nuggets sit at 47-29, clinging to the West. 6 games left in the season, but don't let that fool you. The cracks are widening, and the Timberwolves, now 44-32, are circling like vultures. 7 straight losses to Minnesota dating back to last year's playoffs. That's not a slump. It's a curse a rotting wound festering in Denver's soul. No Jamal Murray, no Michael Porter Jr. Jokic is a lone titan, a king waging war with a ragtag band of peasants. Aaron Gordon dropped 30 points. Christian Braun fought for 19 points and 12 rebounds. Valiant effort, sure, but it's crumbs compared to Jokic's feast. The bench, a ghost town, a barren wasteland offering nothing. The defense, a sick joke. 140 points allowed at home in front of your own fans. That's not a team. That's a surrender. Jokic is chasing a fourth MVP, and nights like this, 61 points and a triple-double scream his case louder than any stat sheet ever could. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, sit down. Your hype's cooked. But what's the point if Denver's a sinking ship, a crumbling fortress teetering on collapse? Imagine Jokic on the Lakers, the Knicks, a squad with depth and fire. He'd be worshipped as the NBA's undisputed god by now, a fifth MVP already in his hands. Instead, he's shackled to this mess, a king forced to carry a kingdom of fools. Nuggets Nation, wake up, your dynasty's cracking, your king's fighting alone, and the walls are closing in fast. This isn't a setback, it's a death knell, a prelude to disaster. Fix this now, or watch your empire turn to dust. And Jokic's greatness will be the only thing left standing in the rubble. So where does this leave us? Let's deliver the final verdict and light a fire under this travesty that demands justice. Nikola Jokic isn't just the best player alive. He's a phenomenon, a force of nature, a king who rules the court with a ferocity and grace that defy logic. 61 points, 11 rebounds, 10 assists. A historic night that'll echo through NBA lore for decades. A performance so colossal it demands we rewrite the rules of greatness. But this loss, it's a scar, a brutal, bleeding wound that proves even gods can't win alone. Russell Westbrook's choke job, Michael Malone's failures, a team in utter disarray. It's a betrayal that should have Nuggets fans storming the streets demanding heads on pikes. 4 MVPs don't do Jokic justice. 5 would have been closer, and even then, it's not enough for a man who's outpacing every metric of greatness we've ever known. He's the GOAT in waiting, a Serbian colossus banging on the door of immortality. And if Denver doesn't surround him with warriors worthy of his crown, the basketball world will pay a heavy price. Jokic isn't just playing the game, he's redefining it, daring anyone to take his throne. Hit that like button if you're as enraged as I am. Smash subscribe for more unfiltered truth on Court Chronicles, and scream in the comments, is Jokic the greatest ever? Can Denver save itself from this abyss? The king still reigns, but his throne's trembling and the clock's ticking. We'll see you next time. This fight far